Today we have Sean Duncan, CEO and founder of SMD Consulting and Accounting, as you can see over here. Brought his banner just for the occasion, and it's here every Thursday morning because he is the sponsor of Get On Track Thursday morning every time. So, welcome, Sean.
Thanks, sir.
So tell us a little bit more about SMD Accounting.
Well, some of you guys actually already know me. So we're a CPA firm, but our specialty is dealing with being more than just a typical CPA. Whatever stereotype you have in mind for CPA, think, I know what that is. That's not what we are. I'm a business consultant that happens to be a CPA, so my background has always been about advising and consulting on businesses, and whether it's operations or should I buy equipment, should I lease equipment, should I hire employees, should I bring contractors in, should I even do this business in the first place? That's a big, big part of what we do. Taxes are always part of that consideration, but it's not the reason. The reason you start a business is not taxes. It's something else. And so my job is to help with that something else, making sure everything else is in place, whether that's making sure the books are in order, making sure the tax returns are filed correctly, making sure you're not paying more than you have to. And what I've found 11 years ago, which is still funny to say that I've been in business for 11 years, is that small business owners don't typically find advisors. There's wonderful tax practitioners out there, but all too often, the consultant isn't there. And my background had always been the consultant side, and so that's what I focused on. And then bringing a team of like-minded people, people that want to be advisors, that want to coach, that want to teach, and want to answer questions in English. Because it's really, really easy to jargon people to death. And so the whole thing was I saw a massive market opportunity for Frisco and all this area that's growing like crazy up here for people that needed advice, and that was the whole plan.
So have you been in Frisco all 11 years?
All 11 years, the firm, and then actually I moved here 3 to 4 years before that.
So
I've been here a while.
what's been the biggest change that you've seen in Frisco over 11 years? There's been a little bit of change in Frisco.
Has there?
Maybe in the last year.
You know what? For me, I love food. All the restaurants, it's glorious. No, just you guys can see it. You can see the economy and the commerce, and just the schools being what they are and phenomenal they are, but then all the business opportunities and the community that's building around it. And what it's done is create an anchor and a base to where Salina and Prosper and quite frankly McKinney and everything else is growing around it by virtue of this being the hub. In fact, actually, I was talking to some developers that McKinney's methodology, not right or wrong, they realized that they made an oops when they looked at the way Frisco was doing it, and they're starting to shift a little bit to try to emulate what Frisco has been doing because it sets such a good tone. So it's been interesting to watch it actually act as the center of everything else that's going around it.
So let's shift back earlier than 11 years.
Okay.
You were working in corporate accounting, right?
I did corporate accounting for 5.
Working for the man.
And then I did 5 years of public accounting for somebody else as well.
Okay.
And then, like I said, about 11 years ago, realized there was a massive opportunity. The other part of that, too, is I'm actually a terrible employee. I don't take direction at all. Ask my wife. Really bad at taking direction. And so when you look at market opportunity, it doesn't follow direction. That's pretty much an entrepreneur, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I had a pretty diverse background. My corporate world was process reengineering and internal consulting and going around and fixing things inside of a billion-dollar corporation. And then I took that to a large local accounting firm that had your 100 professionals, and you'd work with a $5 million to $500 million client. And I kept finding that small business owners would come in, and then you quote them the fees, and then they couldn't afford those fees because, well, that's not what they service. And you kept saying, and this is the mantra for any entrepreneur. If you ever hear yourself say, somebody really needs to. Whenever you say that, you might as well just say, I think I'm about to. And mine was, somebody really needs to start a small business, small CPA firm that helps that small business owner. And I kept saying it, and next thing I realized I was saying it to myself.
So as a kid, were you an entrepreneur? Were you saying that same thing? Or was it simply you saw this opportunity and that really blossomed the entrepreneur in you? So
no, I wish I were. I wish I could say that. Like my son, my 10-year-old son, he has 3 businesses. It's hilarious. The money he's made at 10 years old is comical. But no, I played video games. I played sports. I mean, nobody in their right mind.
So there's good news out there for everybody.
Yeah. I actually didn't. Well, let me take a step back. I didn't even figure out accounting until my college career, and the college career was not because I was going to become a CPA. My whole reason for being an accountant is I was going into the FBI. That's the only reason I got a degree in accounting. It's the only reason I got a master's degree in accounting. Yeah. And the way I'll tell the short version of the story, but essentially was, I'm sitting in class, I'm taking a bunch of elective classes, and this accounting profession thing comes up, and I'm like, whatever, it's just accounting. Who does that? Because I'm a big dumb meathead. I just thought, that's the nerd class, I'll just get through that. And one of the careers they mentioned was FBI agent. And I truly don't remember anything else. It was like bells were going off and you had this haze in the background and you start realizing that's a career. Think about it, FBI, that's just movies. No, that's actually a job. And it was that crystal clear epiphany moment that that's what I need to do with my life. And so immediately changed my degree. I'm becoming an accounting major. I got a master's degree in accounting. And for perspective, I'm the first kid in my family to ever get a college degree. So much less a master's degree. I'm from a family of construction workers. So to get a master's
That
degree.
went over real well, didn't it?
Oh, they loved it. and it's actually a good life lesson to explain to my kids where my family is compared to other parts of the family on different opportunities that we have that they don't realize that this extra hard work has made the difference. But fast forward, 2003, we're post 9/11, FBI's hiring like crazy. I finished my master's degree, I've got the experience. I have my final interview scheduled. The FBI's flying me up to Kansas City, Missouri for my final interviews, my background checks. I'm gonna do my physical fitness test, which I was a meathead, so that was easy. And the Dallas applicant coordinator said, Sean, you're my best candidate, just go through the motions and be in Quantico by September. Done. I've done it. And then I go to my wife, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm really doing this. In 4 to 5 months, I'm gonna be in Quantico. And I said, now you realize I'm taking a pay cut. They don't pay anything. She says, it's fine, I knew what I signed up for. And then I said, now you realize you're gonna have to move with me, because they never move you where you're from. In fact, actually one of the rules is they never move you where anyone you know is from. So I'm gonna end up in New Jersey or Nebraska or somewhere I have no family, no anchors, because they want you to focus on the work. And I said, you're gonna have to quit your job and follow. She said, it's just money, no big deal. And which is really cool. And then I said, now we're planning on starting a family at some point, right? She says, well, yeah. I said, well, how is that going to work? Now, if I'm out, the FBI has what they say, you pack your 3-day bag and your 30-day bag. They're always packed. Short investigation, grab your 3-day run. Oklahoma City bombing, grab your 30-day because you can be gone for 3 months. That's the way it works. And I said, now, how's that going to work if I'm off and running? Because I'm still planning on doing hostage rescue team. Again, I'm a meathead. Hostage rescue team is SWAT. I mean, I wanted to jump out of helicopters and bust in doors. That's just the way I was. And my
Masters
wife,
in accounting reminds me of Nicolas Cage and
yeah.
That movie.
No, the funny is accounting was just a tool to get to the result. It had nothing to do with accounting. And so, I'm sorry I'm making this the long version, but essentially, I said, well, how's that going to work with kids? I mean, I'll be off and gone. And then she says, I know where you're going with this, and now I'm out, your call. I had immediately realized I wanted to be dad and husband so much more than I wanted to chase bad guys. And it was 2 to 3 days, it was a couple of the hardest days I've ever had, because I realized I've grown up, I've changed, whatever it is. When you're really measuring, I want to raise a family versus I want to run around and carry a gun, I didn't realize how that teeter-totter went. And so I actually called the FBI after declining my final interview and withdrew myself from candidacy. And now I have a freaking master's degree in accounting that I did. And now.
So is that like your toughest time that's not even as an entrepreneur, because really you became the entrepreneur after that.
Right.
But you must have had struggles during your time as an entrepreneur starting up the company. Were you ever thinking back and going, maybe I should have been there. Maybe I should have been that meathead or
and that's actually where actually I advise clients all the time. And part of introspection is one of the biggest things about being an entrepreneur, is knowing what in the heck you're doing and why you're doing it. The reason I turned down the FBI is I wanted to be husband and dad. There's goals that I want to accomplish in my life that steer everything that I do. And so turning it down was absolutely the right decision. But then that also turned into, how do I create this business? The core values that we created in the business came from understanding, why was the FBI so compelling? It wasn't just that it was cool. It's that the job mattered. The job actually counts. And so when I do work at my firm, yes, we do tax returns, and yes, we do bookkeeping. It's very, very easy to go, paperwork. When I'm helping somebody and we've set a plan in place where their kid can now go to college, they may have been in the same situation I was, is that nobody's ever gone to college before. When you truly have somebody crying in your office because they've been able to pay for their kid's college and their kid is 14, that they're already covered, or they're taking their first vacation. I had a guy call me from his first vacation in 7 years. He called me from the airplane thanking me that he's never imagined he would ever go to Germany and not be able to not bring his laptop, because he was always working. He just always worked. That's the only way he knew it. And so the struggles is, if you know where your compass is pointing, you'll veer off course, but you can always realign where you're going. And so I've spent a lot of time understanding what the heck I'm supposed to be doing. Where am I supposed to be going? And so the FBI just was an early barometer of that. But then when it came to creating the firm, there is a very clear mission on what we're trying to do. There's a what thing I want out of it, and that was actually one of the comments I was going to make today is, a lot of people when you start a business, you start saying, well, you know, we're here to help clients, and we want to make a mark in the community, and that could very well be true. But there's an element of selfishness you have to accept. And I say selfish not as a negative thing. You're the one taking the risk. You're the one that's creating this thing. You are the one that is shaping where this goes. You're putting those hours in. I mean, anybody in here that's an entrepreneur, there's some serious stress and some long hours. If it doesn't meet your needs, why are you doing this? It's great to help other people, and if helping other people allows you to be fulfilled, wonderful, you're on point. And that's a part of it's understanding that piece of what you want to do. And so if you're working till 3 a.m. and you just realize, oh, I hate this, but I have to do this, I don't know that you have to.
It's interesting you say that because I was sitting here thinking, I think some people, especially right now, you hear so much about entrepreneurs, and it's like that new, sexy, cool thing to be. Do you find that pressure that, yeah, you're up at 3 o'clock and you're going, this stinks, I hate this, but I got to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Is there any advice out there for somebody who, I mean, how do you get back to that real reason? Why are you doing it? What really makes you happy? What advice would you have for somebody out there, whether they're doing accounting or cooking or whatever?
If you're in love with the idea of being an entrepreneur, you should be in love with also the thing you're doing. I mean, it's like people are in love with the idea of being in love, but they're not actually in love with the person they're with. We've watched all those movies before, right?
No.
Never. You're not going to love every moment. I mean, what you do, every job has a slog that you have to get through, but you should be working toward only focusing on what you are great at and what you have strengths at. It's called, delegate and elevate. Delegate the stuff that's not good for you and elevate yourself to the higher quality stuff. So every business has that moment where you're cleaning the toilets, or you're answering that phone call, or you're setting a calendar, which may not be the best use of your time. But if you know you're moving toward that thing that is ultimately your passion. Now, if you're having that 3 a.m. in the morning moment and you go, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, you need to own that and figure out what has to happen to fix it. I mean, we've all had those moments, but if I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, and it's a temporary thing, you get through it, you power through it. And then but you always should be looking toward what are the steps you need to take to be on track to where your compass is pointing.
I like that. Delegate and elevate. For me, that's that nugget I'm taking out of here today.
Awesome.
So we kind of talked a little bit about once you're in it, but you said a lot of what you do is why start a business.
Yeah.
So what have you seen as far as the reasons why people say they want to start a business? I mean, I always use the example, I've been making widgets for 20 years, I'm great at making widgets, I want to open up a widget company.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about some of the times that you've run across companies, individuals who want to start a business, and you're just going, no, you got no business starting a business, or how do you tell them, why are they doing it? Anything along those lines that you got some thoughts on?
Understanding what you're supposed to be 20 and 30 years from now will then tell the story. So I happen to be a good lawyer. Good, you're a good lawyer. Do you know how to run a business? I can teach you how to run a business. If you don't want to be a business owner, which is accountability and responsibility and taking the risks and putting the money in and everything that goes with being an owner, you're not prepared for that. And there's a whole bunch of technical things. If you're not planning on being broke for the first year, you're not ready to be a business owner. And you invest in that first year to get yourself rocking and rolling. Why do most businesses fail in the first 12 months? Well, partly some of them are terrible ideas, but others are you don't have the cash flow to support yourself. If you go into a business and you're looking at a financial model that says, oh look, I'm going to make $95,000 this year. No, you're not. No. You're going to invest a whole bunch of money to get yourself in a position to make 95, then 200, then 500, then whatever the number might be. But it takes a ramp up. It takes time to get there. And way too many people fail too early because they think. So I usually run across that they think, I look at that projection and they say, look, I'm going to replace my income this year. No, you're not prepared. But also, if you don't have clarity on where you're going, I mean, really, really, really absorb that. What am I supposed to be? What are you supposed to be 20 years from now? What are you doing? What does your life look like? What does your day look like? Where's your family? Where do you live? Anything. And if you really walk away with any one other final thing on this, no judgment. None. Your goals are your goals. This comes back to being a little bit selfish. If you want 7 Ferraris because you want a different color for each day, and then you go, oh, that's just greedy and selfish. This is your business. You want 7 Ferraris, do what you need to get 7 Ferraris. If you say, I want to do this so I can volunteer every day, do you really want to volunteer every day, or do you want people to think you're volunteering every day? Because, hey, if you do, wonderful and beautiful, you're helping other people, and that's glorious. But honestly, does everybody want to do that? I don't know. But when you do it and you say, I want to do this, and then you have that little, oh, I shouldn't, you got to get rid of the, oh, I shouldn't. This is your baby. You're devoting the time to get to this point. And so that's really the thing I see is people go, oh, I'm good at it. Great, you're good at it. What's the point? What's the purpose? Where are you going with this thing? And if you have never thought about that, it's worth it. At least, I sit down at least once a quarter and reevaluate the whole business. But I'd say at least once a year, sit back and say, am I even on track? Is this even doing what I want? Honestly evaluate, shut down or stay open. And this would terrify people, but I truly every year at least once go, do I want to close this thing? Which is being honest with myself. But then when I go, no, this is what I need to be doing, you're off and running again. But you honestly assess what you're doing. That'll help you a lot.
Reminds me of a quote once I heard in a book, and it was basically, hey, you shouldn't feel guilty, or when you look at that big house on the hill that somebody has built, and then you tell your kid, you know, there seems to be a stigma out there. Yeah, what did he do wrong? Who did he steal money from in order to get that house? Nothing. He provided a good product or a good service at a fair price that people needed, and they bought into that, and he managed to earn that house. Nothing the matter with it.
You know, in judgment comes, in fact, actually one of my favorite moments was with a client. So sales tax on a vehicle is a tax deduction. What do you do, right? It's a tax law thing. I'm working on this client's tax return, and I say, okay, did you guys buy any cars? Oh yeah, we bought 2 cars. Let's see, my sales tax was 2,000 something something. Great, you write that down. And I'm on the phone with this girl, and then she goes, and let's see, my husband's, oh yeah, his sales tax was 8,700. No, I just need the line that says sales tax, not tax, title, license, and everything else, that the sum of those numbers, just the one. She goes, yeah, I'm looking at it. It's 8,700. Now, this household does not make millions. So let's just put that in play. They're a normal 2-income, 2-kid family. And I went, what did he buy? She goes, yeah, I know. It's his Lamborghini. What? His Lamborghini, by the way, cost more than his annual income, for perspective. And I said, oh, you bought, she goes, I know. It's not like I could tell him he couldn't buy it. You haven't met my wife. She sure would have told me that. And I said, I'm sorry, why couldn't you tell him? She's, well, it's always been his dream. Okay. She goes, see, when he was 5, he was orphaned and then grew up on the streets in Costa Rica. And for 10 years lived on the streets homeless, fighting and stealing for food. And one day snuck over to America and said, see, I got goosebumps now telling the story again, is one day I'm going to have one of those things. I have never in my life loved a Lamborghini more in my life. I mean, seriously, we're first going with pretension, oh, he's got to have a Lamborghini, to, oh, yeah, I'm going to do whatever I can do.
Why was he doing what he was doing?
That was his marker. That was his marker. Now, did he have a gigantic house? No. Did he take a bajillion trips a year? No. He said, that's my baby. That's the thing I want. And he actually sold it a couple years later, but that's okay. That was his thing that he knew that he had to do in his life. And it's not about judgment. It's about that fulfilled him. And it's not for us to say whether it's good or bad. That's him, not us.
I'm not going to be able to beat that, so I'm going to open it up for any questions here. Does anybody have any questions that we want to ask Sean right now?
Sean, and I know you fairly well, I think, can you talk to the group about, I think one of the things you do really well is the culture that you have in your business and the thread that runs through everything at SMD. And of all the people I've met and talked to in my 48 years on the planet, I'd put you pretty close to the top about culture building.
Oh, you have such low standards. Thank you.
Wow.
And coming out of a career, I coached for a
That's
long
being
time.
delivered
Culture was,
to you. Okay.
I coached for a long time. Culture was a big thing in what we did, right? Building our program culture. And so that's on my radar. I think you do an incredible job at it. So can you just
Thank
kind
you.
of talk to the group for a second about that?
Well, part of it is a selfish reflection too. So CPAs, again, whatever you think about CPAs, if it's April 14th, where's the CPA? They're working till 1 a.m. No, I'm not. That's not what I want out of my life. It comes back to what I want out of my life. And so then selfishly, I created a culture that I want to be striving and goal-oriented and problem solvers and accountable, but be a little goofy, weird, and fun. So we have an eclectic bunch of people, but it's really just aspiring to, who do I want to hang out with? I don't want to hang out with a technophile CPA that just wants to sit there and do this and look at their shoes all day. We want people that are dynamic and communicators and are accountable and responsible, that want to be great at what they do. And so when I selfishly just said, who do I want to be as a person? Who do I want to hang out with? And what I want this office to look like? I mean, we're not quite Google office, corporate offices, but because I did have to pull our video game out of the office for additional space until the construction completed. But yeah, we have a Miss Pac-Man cocktail table with 60 games, and we have the big screen, which might accidentally get a PlayStation hooked up to it. You know, we bring in the chair massagers. Is it parties all the time? No, but when you know you're working with people that it's like a family where you have each other's back, that's the cool thing. You know, in fact, actually, I just shared a picture of one of my employees just had a baby. And it was texts until 11 o'clock last night where people were like, oh my gosh, that's the greatest thing. Because we're trying to be intertwined family, because you're going to work a lot of hours. I mean, if you just really look at your day, how much time do you spend at work and how much time do you spend at home? If that time I spend at work is just a slog and a grind and doesn't have fun, doesn't have the culture that you want, whew, that's tough to do. That's too much time. And so I decided I can't spend that. I can't have turned down the FBI to be just a stinking CPA. But two, it's got to be something that is fulfilling. You know, personally fulfilling as much as a day-to-day basis. It's pointing in the right direction, and it means something. So the culture is where it all starts. Is what do I want to have out of my life? Who do I want to associate with? And I want to find like-minded people to build that whole thing around it. And basically, we're a bunch of weirdos. That's the paraphrase version.
And touching back on something that you said as far as entrepreneurs, I think they need to be honest with themselves, because you talk about how much time you spend at work, but as entrepreneurs, and I think I've got a little bit of that spirit in me, you're thinking all the time. You're always working. I mean, you're brushing your teeth and you're thinking about the next answer, and you're driving to work and you see this, and I mean, it's hard to watch a baseball game without, hey, what about this and what if we do that? So, you know, what are your thoughts about being honest as far as, can you separate your personal from your work, or is that just something you've got to accept as an entrepreneur?
You accept whatever makes sense for you. I will tell you that you have to, I feel you have to turn the switch off at some point. But yeah, it's always spinning in your head. I'm always thinking about ideas, but that when you're with your wife, you need to be with your wife. When you're with your kids, you need to be with your kids. And it is hard, because there's 100 things going on that you're accountable for, you're responsible for. And to be an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to accept accountability. The buck does stop, and it stops with you no matter what happens. It's always you, no matter who did it. And so when I'm at home, I try to be at home. And yeah, you check the emails every so often and do stuff, and you're scribbling down ideas of something you want to deal with tomorrow. I've actually emailed myself, oh yeah, by the way, do that tomorrow, and then I have to get the phone away.
Did that yesterday.
But you do have to parse it the best you can. But if you find that you're doing that, not because you're obsessed, because you're passionate by it, that's what you want. You want, like, I'm wanting to do this because I want to do this, not because, oh crud, I have this other obligation. When you feel that, oh crud, I got this obligation, you're back to delegate and elevate. You got to find a different way to shape that thing. But you want your passion driving you and taking over, and then you have to rein yourself in because you know you're going the right direction. But the biggest warning I can give to anybody that's got their own business is, don't forget you have other people in your life. It's not just the work life. It's not just the clients. Your wife and kids, or husband and kids, or family and parents, they're hypercritical to your own personal success. If you don't make that time, you will be very, very imbalanced and probably single. I mean, CPAs are top 5 suicide and divorce rate thanks to our lifestyle. And that's one thing that I immediately walk into, is that that's not us. That is not where we're going. And if it means less profit, it means less profit. That's cool. I would rather scream off to Disney World with a family, lose a little bit of revenue, Yes, I've gone a couple times. And then to worry about trying to capture every dollar that's out
That's
there.
saying you never get to your last day and go, God, I wish I would have worked just a little bit more rather than something else.
You know, and that's actually one of the biggest blessings I've had, is I've been around, working around a lot of retiring, and dying individuals in some of these other jobs that I've had. And I'm always learning from them. And not a single one has said they should have worked more. Not a single person, no matter how successful or unsuccessful, not a single one has ever said. And there's actually things out there, top 5 regrets of the dying, where nurses hold people in the hospital. And it's actually something I keep on my desk, the top 5 regrets of the dying, to center me on spend your time with the family and make sure that you make that time for yourself and all those different things. But it's knowing what you need. This is, you get one go at this. Now, I'm planning on being a robot, so I'm gonna live to about 400, but this is it. I mean, how awful would it be? You look up 20 years from now. Imagine, you own a CPA firm. Already I scared you. You own a CPA firm.
Fill in your own blank.
20 years from now, you look back and go, I should have prepared a lot of returns. That's what you just did for 20 years. There is no fulfillment in that statement. But if you look back and say, man, I helped a lot of families. I really helped this. I developed these people that are often successful careers, that were employees and now they got their own thing. If you know that, for me, if I know that I'm coaching and developing both clients and employees and helping my kids develop and become successful and teaching them good values, and I have this vehicle by which I'm using a CPA firm, happens to be a CPA firm, that I can communicate that. I can sit in this room and if any one of you take something kind of cool out of this, I go mentor at UTD all the time. I'm doing something useful with my time, not just, yep, I sure made me some money.
Not just doing returns, changing lives, changing family trees, as I've heard one person in the business say before.
You absolutely can. You have that opportunity to do so. But what's really interesting, every business does.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you want to leverage what you're doing. But again, be selfish. It's your business. If you want to have 7 Ferraris and just travel, do it. You're not obligated to help other people. This is your life. And that's the hardest thing when you back to your question about entrepreneurs is, what do you want to do? Be honest with what you want to do and go for it. As long as it's not hurting other people, I'll be there to help you.
Questions? Bless you, Missy.
Yes.
Sean, I'd love to hear more about, I think it's really helpful to hear and see the finished product and a lot of this. I always love hearing about the mess too, though. And if you could take us maybe back to that first year when you're stepping out and you're probably leaving behind. I mean, you mentioned some of this, the financial sacrifice, you're leaving behind more secure, steady income. What was it like for you in that first year and the lead up to the launch of SMB and even as you're first building clients?
Mm-hmm.
Can you bring us inside that world a little bit when we didn't get to see the banners and the sponsorships, when it was
Right.
just a dream and then it was small? What were maybe some of the things you did that helped you get clients and get the word out about it and create that culture like Brad was saying? Maybe what were some mistakes you made in that messy time?
I've made a lot of mistakes, and every business owner has, and it's actually part of the growing and developing. You're still kind of doing that. The first year was, now I had a sugar mama that got to take care of me, so that was awesome. My wife had a really good job, and the support. I mean, think about this. You say, sweetie, I'm gonna go spend a bunch of money on some desks and computers, and I'm gonna go network. and you're going to pay the bills, which is cool that she is successful and smart enough to be able to do that. So I had a buffer that some people don't have. Sometimes you're off and running and then it's just desperate. So I will say I had a tactical advantage that I was never desperate to begin with. Even if you are desperate, you don't want to ever appear desperate. But in those moments, it was equal parts thrilling because you know you're creating. You know that this can be whatever you want it to be. But equal parts terrifying because you're thinking, I was a business consultant. I knew how to run a business. And then you actually run your business and you realize that the day-to-day boots on the ground is not the same thing as the theories and the advice that you would give. And so you're tripping over these little things. One example, major lesson I learned. When I hire employees, I want to be a little threatened. I want to be a little threatened that they're too freaking smart. They're too awesome. That they're going to leave me. You know what? Wonderful. Because the first employees I hired, not that they were bad, I actually got lucky with one is still with me. But I knit a ton of profitability because the intern cost is low. Hey, they went on numbers, but they get to work till 1 a.m. every night. I've decided, no, I want independent professionals that don't even need me. One of my goals for my business is that people forget I exist. I don't want it to be Sean. I want it to be S&P. I want people to go, you know what? I love Larry. Larry's a rock star. He is the greatest accountant I've ever had. Who's Sean? I had that happen last week. Who's Sean? Why did Sean email me? Perfect. Julie, you've done such a great job that they don't even know I'm here because you are so amazing. And so the moment I learned that lesson of be a little challenged, great people are great people, then the onus is on me to create the environment where they can thrive. I have the responsibility to allow them to be successful. So one of the very first lessons I made was, one, it was terrifying because you're just worried you're going to always run out of money. It just is what it is. Networking, all of you guys network. You have to be honest about the groups that you're going to. You know, are you going to meet good, quality people? You're not there to farm. If you focus on great, quality people, the rest just sort of handles itself. Yes, you do some targeted. I want to focus on my power partners. You know, CPAs want to meet attorneys and financial advisors and bankers. Great. But good people hang out with good people. One of my goals when I'm in the chamber is not to get points. Not worried about that. I want to meet the best people you know at whatever they do. Sean, I've got this girl. She's the greatest florist you've ever met in your life. I've never seen anybody cut petals in a way. I want to meet her. Doesn't mean she needs to be a client. Doesn't mean she needs to send me anybody. If I associate with amazing people, everything else just falls into place. And so that was some of the lessons I learned over the first 5 years, because you start off with, I've got to focus on this style of client. Well, maybe. I've got to focus on making sure employees aren't challenging me because I can be in charge. Well, that was a stupid lesson. And you just keep chipping away. And then there's always these little crucible years where just you really are trial by fire. You get, when it hits the fan, you know who's going to step up. And when you associate with great people, they support you, whether they're in the company or out of the company. When you have great people in the company, they rise to the challenge. And that's been the biggest lesson, is finding the right people to just be around. Just be around. I just love absorbing stuff from smart people and judging people on what they do. Indulge me for one more story. So I was out at a networking. I used to run networking groups, and I was meeting this guy, and his business was polishing floors. The big thing that you see usually in the movies, that's the guy that's about to kill you because the person is actually a spy. And so he's like, "Oh, Sean, I want to have coffee with you." I'm thinking, some dude just went and bought himself a piece of machinery, and he said, "I have a business." I'll have coffee with this guy for like 20 minutes, fine. And I'm busy. This is about 2 years into my business. I'm busy. I meet with the guy. The guy used to be an investment banker. When you needed to buy an airplane greater than $15 million, he was the guy that you called to deal with that. Anything less than $15 million wasn't worth his time. But he saw the economy going where it was going to go, so he moved out and went and searched franchises and decided that this particular franchise was one of the ones he was going to buy. Next thing you know, I'm talking shop at my level, and I walked out of that meeting feeling so guilty. So blessed that I got to meet this guy, because he's crazy smart and one of the nicest people I've ever met. And yeah, he actually turned out being a client and is one of my greatest advocates. When I told him that, like, I just thought you were, he was like, yeah, I get that a lot. Because he comes in jeans and t-shirt. I went in with judgment, and it was a lesson that I needed to learn very quickly. You don't know who people are. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Be willing to be wrong. And he was one of the greatest guys I've met, because it was just a fascinating moment to have that relationship that I went into it thinking, okay, I got places to be because I'm somebody. And he was awesome. And so that's another thing I've learned, is just you never quite know what you're going to get into. Is be open to what people can present.
Perfect segue to one question I always like to ask people, and it reminds me of a quote that you're going to be the same person today or 5 years from now as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 books that are your favorites. And if I were to say, give me 2 books to read. Of course, my books.
Does it have to be like smart books, or can I? So actually,
your favorite for some reason. So.
Well, for myself, when I read, I usually read dorky stuff, because there is part of what you're talking about. Turning that switch off is I have to completely immerse myself in something else to turn the switch off. So I'll go play a video game, and I'll go read a book that's a big fantasy book, that kind of thing. But from the business side of the books, there's actually a book called Traction. That's actually where the Delegate and Elevate comes from. There's lots of business books that are out there. E-Myth, a lot of you guys will know E-Myth. E-Myth is a Bible for business owners. And actually, E-Myth is where I cut my teeth on all my consulting. That's where E-Myth and Good to Great and Traction and all these other books that are out there, they're all kind of the same thing. And a lot of it is where I built my philosophy on, you've got to know where you're going with it. So if you were to pick 2, E-Myth and Traction are two phenomenal books that have really guided things. But Good to Great is another spectacular one. Just a basic quote from that, you got to get the right people on bus. What's hilarious about Good to Great is one of their example companies of the pinnacle of all successful companies is Circuit City. So if you read that one, just giggle knowing that he didn't know either. But there's lots of little gems. One of the books I love and hate is The 4-Hour Workweek. I don't know if you guys have read this. There's gems in there. He actually uses a Ferrari example, so I steal from him on that. But I hate the book. Because I cannot have somebody tell me the whole book why I'm stupid and why he's smart. But that's what the book is. I'm smarter than you, and you're not going to be successful unless you do what I tell you. But you're like, oh, I hate this guy. Oh, that's right. Oh, I hate this guy. Oh, he's right again. So this whole book you're going to be angry and happy with. But there's little gems that are in there as well. So begrudgingly read 4-Hour Workweek. But just know that he's going to tell you you're stupid. And you're not.
Right,
You're going to feel it.
we're going to wrap this up here.
Sure.
We got people to do, but I want to finish up on one thing. Entrepreneur, you covered a lot of stuff, but in looking over your bio and visiting with you a little bit, you came across one thing that you definitely put your personal life into your business. In particular, the colors and your passion there. So talk a little bit about where the colors come from and how you mix that personal life in with the business. Is that important to do? Why?
So this is your baby. You can do whatever you want. Business, if you want pink unicorns flying over your logo, if you're gonna do pink unicorns. I'm a huge San Diego Chargers fan. So when they said, hey, let's create the website, let's create the business card. Okay, what's the color palette? Chargers.com. And that was it. Go figure out the rest from there. So I'm a huge Chargers fan. But if you were to go research, because I have done this because I'm a big nerd, there's actually empirical studies that say, oh, well, blue colors are good financial colors, and then the blue and the white create contrast so people can see it from distance, and there's all this color theory garbage. All I did was read it to support my fanaticism. And then the logo itself, actually, while very, very simple logo, I actually want to point out what its purpose was. It's knowledge, industry, and opportunity. So is that a set of books on a shelf? Is it a row of buildings? Or is there doors opening? Yes, it is. Knowledge, books on a shelf, industry, a bunch of buildings down, 54th Street, or opportunities, those are doors opening for people. And that's the whole point of that particular logo, is it's supposed to represent multiple different things. Is it overt? No, of course it's not. But if you actually go to my website, you see our little cartoons and caricatures. I'm using it, one, is I'm actually opening doors for people, using them as the doors. So that's part of what we've tried to do is for the business model. But integrating personal life into it, one of the things I haven't mentioned is my own personal goals is I'm building my entire firm so I work 4 hours a day, at most. My job is husband and dad. That's my job. I mean, again, I turned down the freaking FBI for kids I didn't even have, so I'd be darned if CPA is going to do it. But I am building the entire firm for the purpose that I get to hang out with my wife and do stuff. We get to take trips. I get to spend time with my kids because those of you with kids know this is your window. This is it. If you know me, I'm traveling like crazy this year. Last year and next year as well. My 10-year-old son still walks up to me at the restaurant and sits on my lap. How long is that going to happen? His 10-year-old son, he's not going to be doing that for much longer. He's going to be embarrassed by it. I'm taking it. And whether it's Disney World or we're going to, see family somewhere, we're going to travel to Germany next year. We went to Thailand last year. I want to have every moment I can wrangle out of this time. And then build this to where when they're 18 and embarrassed by dad, I'm still around. I can be the chaperone, I can volunteer, I can be the coach, it's freeing that time up because it's very, very easy to let this beast of business ownership get away from you. It's so easy to make the excuse of, well, I gotta take care of this, it's my responsibility. Do you really? In my case, is that tax return done on Friday or Tuesday more or less important than being at my kid's soccer game? I don't know. No judgment. What's your call? That's one of my mantras, is figuring out how I can build this business. And I'm getting there. I leave much earlier than most CPAs do.
So his book will be out on the shelves next week. It's called Be Selfish.
That's right.
And Feel Good About It. So that'll be his new book coming out. So thank you very much, Sean.
Thanks, sir.
Great
Appreciate
job,
it.
man. If you're willing to stick around,